Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about Pottermore. If you are not familiar with Pottermore and are not remotely interested in Harry Potter, you do not care about the rest of this video. Just really quick, if you are into Harry Potter and don't know, Pottermore is a website that is sort of a combination of an online reading experience, not exactly, but sort of a role-playing game, and it just gives fans of the Harry Potter series an opportunity to go through the books chapter by chapter. In some of those books, they get to learn additional information. J.K. Rowling has put some additional background information on characters or places or interesting facts to people that are already interested in these types of things. And then there are certain moments in the book where you can collect items or kind of experience the Harry Potter universe for yourself. I would definitely say the two highlights in that process for me, and probably for most users, were getting your wand, in which you answer a series of questions that range from things about your height and your eye color to various things to ascertain your personality, and you get your custom wand. And then you go on from there, and then probably the biggest thing that's had the most discussion around it is your Pottermore sorting. And if you have watched any Pottermore videos on YouTube, you have probably seen lots of people discussing their sorting results and how they feel about those results. I am one of those people who was completely shocked when I got my results. I was positive I would be in Ravenclaw, and I thought maybe possibly a secondary option might be Hufflepuff, and I did not even consider Slytherin or Gryffindor. So when I became a Gryffindor on Pottermore, I was pretty shocked, and I had about a day and a half of a little bit of a minor identity crisis, but I got over it, and in fact am totally into being a Gryffindor now, and that's not the point of this video, so I'm not going to get into that. But basically, the Pottermore experience, after you've gone through the process far enough to be sorted into a house, you now have access to your house's common room. So each common room gives you some background information about the houses. There's not very much information for the Gryffindors, and the assumption is that because that's the main house explored in the books, we don't need any more information. I think the consensus from people in that house is we would still like to have it. Okay, there might be a weird break in the video because I gave some spoilers away, and I didn't want to do that. But the other houses, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, do get a lot of background information on their house. They learn about some famous witches and wizards that came out of their house, a little bit more in depth about their traits, and things to make them proud of whatever their house they're in. So you go on from getting your intro letter to your common room, and then you are in the actual common room. And this could be really cool, but I think the functionality is really terrible right now. What you see when you log in and go to your common room is a list of any recent activity from other members of your house. It might be if another member became friends with somebody, if they brewed a potion, whatever they've done. You flip over to a tab that's comments, and what should be happening is that you post a comment. You type your comment, you post it, you see it right away. People can kind of have a conversation, but that's not really how it's been working. What usually happens is I will post a comment. I will not see it posted the entire time I'm logged in, which sometimes is only 5 minutes, but sometimes if I'm brewing a potion, I might be on Pottermore on and off for half an hour, and it doesn't get posted. I don't know what happens. Sometimes you'll get a message that your comment has been put into moderation, and the reasoning is pretty good. The people behind Pottermore are aware that there are young children using the site, and they are trying to protect them, which I'm in favor of, but the comments I've seen be under moderation are usually sort of really random why they've been chosen, like, hey, what potion ingredient did you need me to send you, Midnight User 523? Just really kind of bizarre. So it's really hard to interact with users on Pottermore, and the same is true of the Great Hall. When you're in your common room, you're only interacting with your other house members. You can also go to the Great Hall. The Great Hall is all of the houses. It shows you the points, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then it shows you, again, a list of what all of the users, not just your fellow housemates, have been doing, who they're friends with, or dueling, or brewing potions, or whatever they're doing. And then there's a comment board. I've seen some people post that the comments go too fast for them, which surprises me because I, again, have the same issue where stuff just doesn't post and doesn't happen, and it's not like a live updating site. Not sure if that is an issue with the volume of users, or if it's just another glitch in Pottermore, but it's definitely something that I had put comments about in my survey results, because to me, one of the really cool things about Pottermore could be getting to know other Harry Potter fans and interacting with them in that way. You know, people that are in your house or not in your house, or however. The other issue with interacting with your housemates or anyone on Pottermore is you can become friends with people, and then you can send them gifts, and I don't really know what else you can do, but you can send them gifts. So if somebody sends you a friend request, all you see from Pottermore is that Pottermore user 123 wants to be your friend. You don't have a way to know who that user is. And remember, if you don't know, when you created your Pottermore account, they give you a choice of maybe 4 pre-assigned names, and you select out of those choices which one you wanted. So, I mean, my username is glowriver167, and that was the best choice, and that's a stupid username, but that's my username. So it's not like you're going to recognize someone's username because they also use it on another website you're on. There's not a way to send somebody a note that says, "This is Carrie from your math class, and I want to be your friend on Pottermore." You just have to sort of try and figure out who these people are. So you might post on your Facebook or Twitter, or maybe it's somebody you know in real life, but probably not. So it's really difficult to figure out what's even going on with your friends. I have one real life friend who is on my Pottermore friends list, and the cool thing is, once you figure that out, you can make Pottermore display their actual name, but it is impossible to figure that out if you haven't actually had a conversation with each individual person about it. So that's just sort of a weird thing to deal with on Pottermore. But like I said, it's definitely something I put in my feedback, and hopefully other people do too, because I've heard other complaints about it. So once you're in Pottermore, you can try and have these conversations on the comment boards in the Great Hall and in the common rooms. And I know people do have them successfully, because I've sent people things they asked for. I've seen people talk about how somebody from another house sent them a cauldron after they melted theirs, that sort of thing. There are some intense rivalries on Pottermore between Slytherin and Ravenclaw over the house points. There are 2 ways to earn house points at this point in time. One of them is Wizard Duel, which has been down since before I got into the beta. And essentially, Wizard Duel is typing letters out of a spell the most accurately to get points. I haven't had an opportunity to duel any other users, so I don't know how it really works. You can practice spells, and I've done that, but after a few tries, I've managed to type correctly enough to get the high score, and it's not really doing anything for me. The other way, and currently the only way to get your points up on Pottermore, is to brew potions. It took me a while to get a hang of the whole potion thing, and part of that was because it's flash animation, and it was super glitchy, although I will say it's gotten much, much better since I first started doing it. You can buy potions ingredients, you can find some throughout the stories, and essentially you have to go through putting the ingredients in your cauldron in a certain order, crushing certain ones first, in certain amounts, and different things like that, and then you have to let it sit and chill for sometimes an hour and a half, for a really long time. And I don't really know what the point of that is. I feel like maybe they should have a breaking point in your potion where it's like, okay, now come back later, and maybe there's a window of time that you have to wait at least 15 minutes or half an hour, but an hour and a half to wait to come back, by then you've either forgotten or you had to go do something else. It's really difficult to manage brewing your potions when they can take an hour and a half, and they're probably going to glitch, and then if you have to start over because they glitched, it's just really a hassle. So I realize at this point that it sounds like mostly I'm complaining about Pottermore, which was not what I wanted to make this video for. I actually mostly, believe it or not, have really enjoyed it. Um, the graphics, as a lot of people have said before, they're really beautiful. I really enjoy the additional information. I'd even like probably a little bit more because I'm kind of a giant nerd and I like to read. Um, if the interaction was better with users, I would like it. I am a little competitive sometimes, so I like the competition between the houses, although at this point I don't really see Gryffindor or Hufflepuff catching up to Slytherin or Ravenclaw, but it's still pretty fun. It's something to do. So I'm enjoying my Pottermore experience. There are obviously a lot of issues with it. I will be curious to see if when they reopen it's again only to beta users or if they go ahead and open it to everyone. The way that Pottermore rolled out its beta was that after you got the magic quill, which was just answering questions at random times of the day to get in on a certain day of the week, they rolled it out sort of over time, so they would send out a batch of letters that said, okay, you have access to Pottermore. I was in the very last batch, which was somewhere around 1 million users, that they rolled out at the same time. I kind of think that they did that intentionally to see just what would happen to their servers when 1 million people were all of a sudden trying to do all of the same things at the same time. I know there were people who just couldn't get past certain chapters, even still after 2 or 3 weeks, probably because they need way better server capacity. So I'm interested to see if when they reopen, how they launch that out. They've actually had at one point announced that they were going to roll it out to new users kind of in a similar fashion where it would be open for anyone to sign up once it's open, but then you still may have to wait kind of for an indiscriminate amount of time to get your letter, which could that be a week, a month, 6 months? It wasn't real clear, and it was sort of corporatese, and that's probably the last thing I'm going to talk about Pottermore today. And this is actually sort of not really in response to, but kind of agreeing with another YouTube user who I like to watch, A Peck of Owls, Abby, who was talking about the way that Pottermore addresses its users. If you are still watching this, probably you're into Pottermore. They have a Twitter account, which I follow it, but I don't really follow Twitter that closely. And then they have a blog, Insider Pottermore blog, where they will talk about what's going on with the site. It is informative, just if the problem is something with you or something lots of people are having or Pottermore is aware of. But Pottermore likes to speak in what I consider corporatese, which is where corporations have to address their users or their employees, and they do so by kind of speaking down to them, and not really being aware of how savvy their audience probably is, and thinking that because they're younger or below them in some way that they aren't going to understand what's going on, or they're going to be ignorant, or just not as intelligent, which really is not ever the case. People know what's going on, and they know that Pottermore, while it's got lots of great things and has a ton of potential, it has a lot of issues. And instead of Pottermore just saying, hey, we realize that we probably need to do something about these issues, we just made a mistake, instead they just kind of like to make everything sound like sunshine and roses, and it gets really annoying. It's something that unfortunately just happens in the corporate world, and it's definitely coming from that spot, but I, as an adult, find it annoying too, and I find it annoying when any companies I've had to deal with do it. I think everyone does, so I don't know why it happens, but it does. So I just kind of wanted to address that. If you've been following the blog, insider.pottermore.com I think is the address, they are kind of glossing over some of the issues, which hopefully they're being addressed behind the scenes at least. There are some other interesting things on that blog. They just did a series over the crests and how those were designed, and I think one of the cool things is at one point I read that J.K. Rowling had specifically designed the houses with the elements air, fire, water, and earth in mind, so each house corresponds to one, and if you look at the house crests closely, you see in the background their corresponding sign. For example, I'm a Gryffindor and ours is fire, and you sort of see the flames behind the Gryffindor lion. But I'm getting off topic again, I apologize. The thing with Pottermore is it could be really great, and it's not terrible, it's good, people are enjoying it. Um, they just really need to be a little bit more aware of what the users expect and want and their ability to understand what's going on with the site. They know that everything is glitchy and slow and that there are millions and millions of other people who are waiting to get onto the site. So they really do need to get it together. I think closing the beta probably, while it's going to maybe be disappointing for people, will probably be really good in the long run. Like I said, I don't know if they're planning on opening to everyone when they come back up. I kind of hope they do, just because a lot of people have been waiting a long time, and also because I have some friends and coworkers that I really want to get sorted on Pottermore. In fact, I have people that are not into Harry Potter at all that I've already told I'm making them accounts on Pottermore just so we can find out what house they're in. So there's a lot of stuff to look forward to if you are waiting. Again, I hope that this didn't make me sound like, oh, I hate Pottermore and it sucks, because it doesn't. It just has a lot more potential, and hopefully Pottermore will kind of own up to what they need to fix and make it better. So thanks for watching.